Okay, so we're going to be making the face of our Mexican sun. We're going to be using this metal sheet. Be very careful because if you pick it up quickly, the edges for the most part aren't sharp on these, but you can get a really bad case of a paper cut. So be careful picking these up. Don't leave them around because you also can bend them, and then there are no extras of these at all. So I do not have an extra plate for you. Under your plate, you're going to need to put a folded sheet of paper. I will have some to pass out. This is going to be a little cushion to put under your metal plate so that when you're pushing into it with your pencil, it's going to create a bump on the other side or a relief. So I'm going to walk you through on how to do this. The first thing you're going to need is a cup. We're going to be using the cup to make a circle for our sun that will later be cut out. You don't want to use the bottom of the cup because on this particular cup, the colored ones, the bottom is a lot smaller than the top. So you're going to find the part that you would normally drink out of, and that's going to be the part you're tracing. So the open part that you drink out of is the part that you want to touch your metal plate. So I'm going to place this in the center and then holding with my other hand as I'm tracing. If this moves on you, it's going to mess it up. So if you want a friend to hold it tight down as you're tracing, then it's okay to ask a friend for help. You're now going to go around this, and you don't have to push really hard to start with. The reason for that is you can always go back over your lines later. So you're going to go around so that you get a perfect circle right in the middle. Now what you're going to do is start to draw a face. Now I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see the face very well in my metal plate because it's, in the video it's a little hard to see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw it on a piece of paper for you to see. But on yours, you want to draw it on your metal plate. Okay, so I have a piece of paper in place of my metal plate. I'm also going to draw this with a Sharpie just so you can see, because as you know, on our camera, usually pencil does not show up very well. Okay, on your metal plate with a pencil, here's how you're going to draw your face. Now, you can change the shapes if you want, but we're going to be using basic shapes and lines. We don't want too much detail, because we are going to color these in later. So what I'm going to do for the eyes is either 2 circles or 2 almond shapes. For almond shapes, I do a curve up and then a curve down below that. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Try to keep it the same on both sides. And again, when you're using that metal plate, you want to push very light. Now in the center of the eye, I'm going to do a circle. And then another circle in between that. Now for the nose, again, you want to think about shape. I like to do a curve that comes around the eye and comes down like this. Almost looks like a big L. If you want to add eyelashes on your eyes, you can, or you can leave them. You can also decide to give your eyes an eyebrow, but that's completely up to you. Okay, so now we're going to do the lips, and the lips are going to be, for mine, I'm going to start with a line that's curved up first. And then I'm going to do 2 bumps to kind of look like a stretched out M. And then on the bottom of that line, a big bump to look like a lower U line. All right, so now in the cheeks, you're going to come up with some kind of shape that you want for your design. If you want to add any other smaller details, you can do that with your pencil. I know, like, sometimes I like to add a little pattern inside that shape in those cheeks I made. Okay, so now I have my metal plate that I filled out because, like I told you earlier, we're not drawing it with a Sharpie on paper, but I wanted you to see how I would draw the face. So yours is going to look more like this. So what you're going to do after you've gone in and drawn the face inside your circle you trace is you want to go back over your lines and you want to push a little bit harder so that we're really getting a nice crease in our shapes. So you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna do that. Go back over your lines and push a little harder. Okay, so we have that. Now we're gonna flip this over. You want it flipped over so the part that's raised, the part that's coming up, is the part that we're going to color in with some colored Sharpies. So the side that you traced on, and you'll feel because the grooves will go into the metal plate, we don't want to color in that side. We want to flip it over, and we want to color on the side where the creases are pumped. It's going to help, we want to color on the side where the creases are bumping up. It's going to help us stay in the lines. So using only colored Sharpie, we are going to start by going into our shapes, okay, in our face. So remember, some colors aren't going to show up as well. So a lighter color is not going to show up on a light colored plate because their contrast is too similar. So let me just show you an example. If I want to do the inside of my eyes with this light pink, you can see that it's not really going to show up. Now I can tell on the paper it works, but it's just too similar to that silver plate. So I'm going to find a darker one, and if I use that darker, there's a big difference. It shows up. So starting with your eyes and your shapes, you're going to fill those in first. So I'm going to go ahead and fill all my shapes in with some colored Sharpies. Okay, so I have my shapes all colored in. Now I need to do the background behind the shapes inside of the circle. You don't have to worry about coloring out here in the corners because we're going to cut this out later. So when you're going in and coloring with a marker, you don't have to go around these lines. Because it's a relief and these lines you made popped out, you can go right on top of them. And you don't have to trace a color on them. We're just going to go right on top of them. And because it's a relief, you're still going to see the details you created. So now in the area behind your shapes, you're going to go in and color your face. Okay friends, that's looking good. Notice how I have very little of the silver in the face showing. I didn't color this area because I know next time I'm going to cut that out. That's looking great. Next time we will finish these.